Rank 1, the recruit. You are 22 years old. You grew up watching war movies, reading spy thrillers, and you always believed you were built for something more than a desk job. You scored high on your college entrance exams. You ran track. You speak two languages. And one afternoon, a man in a gray suit sat down next to you in a coffee shop and said, very quietly, "We have been watching you." That was 3 months ago. Now you are standing in a field in Virginia. It is 4 in the morning. Your legs are burning. And a man who has never told you his real name is screaming at you to do 20 more push-ups on gravel. Welcome to the farm. That is what they call the CIA's training facility at Camp Peary. At this level, you know almost nothing. They are teaching you how to lose a tail on foot, how to pack a bag so it looks like you are going on vacation when you are actually going to extract a man out of a hostile country, how to have a conversation in a restaurant while your eyes are counting exits and reading body language. You are learning how to build a fake life so convincing that even your own mother would believe it. You get a new name, a new job, a new history. You are on paper a mid-level analyst for an import-export firm in Maryland. The hardest part of being a recruit is not the physical training, it is the silence. You cannot tell your friends what you are doing. You cannot tell your family. You go home for Thanksgiving and someone asks what you have been up to and you say, "Oh, nothing exciting." And you smile and you eat your turkey. And inside your head, you are replaying the field exercise from last Tuesday where you had to talk your way past an armed checkpoint in a language you had been studying for 8 weeks. You pass. Most people do not. About a third of the recruits who walk into the farm walk back out of it, quietly sent home, sworn to secrecy about what little they saw. But you make it. And on the last day of training, your instructor shakes your hand and says, "You are going to be fine." That somehow feels like the biggest compliment you have ever received. Rank 2, the case officer. Your first real posting is a city that is not as dangerous as it sounds on the news, but is not as safe as it looks on a postcard. Your official cover is that you work at the American Embassy. You have a small apartment. You go to the same coffee shop every morning. You attend the same social gatherings every week. You are friendly, but not too friendly. Your job right now is to find locals who have access to information the CIA wants: government officials, military officers, scientists, businessmen who do deals with the wrong governments. You need to find these people, build a relationship with them, earn their trust, and eventually, gently, slowly turn them into sources. You are essentially befriending people under false pretenses so that they will eventually hand you secrets. You take a local general out for drinks and listen to him talk about his children for 2 hours because you genuinely need him to like you. You remember the name of his wife, his dog, the city where he grew up. You send a gift when his mother passes. You are kind to him. One night he tells you something he should not have. He does not even realize he has done it, and you file that away. You write it up in an encrypted report and send it back to Langley. And somewhere in Virginia, someone reads your report and circles a number on a page. You are doing your job. Rank 3, the field officer. 2 years in, you are no longer new. You have run a few sources. You have filed hundreds of reports. You have learned which coffee shops to avoid and which embassies have security teams that are actually competent. Now you get your first real mission. Not a gathering information mission, an actual operation, with moving parts, with risk, with the kind of outcome that, if it goes wrong, will not appear in any newspaper but will end careers, or worse. The mission might be something like this. There is a man in the city where you are stationed. He is a low-level functionary in the local government, but he has access to a server room, and on that server there is a file that the CIA needs. Your job is to get inside that building, get to that server, copy the file, and leave without anyone knowing you were there. You spend 6 weeks preparing. You learn the building's layout from an architect's drawing that your handler got from a contact in the city's permit office. You learn the guard's schedule. You learn that the man with the access card always stops for a cigarette at 11 p.m. on the east side of the building. You learn that the security camera in the east corridor has a blind spot approximately 2 meters wide near the stairwell door. The night you go in, your heart is beating at about 140 beats per minute, but your hands are steady, your breathing is controlled. Everything you learned at the farm and everything you have learned in the field is running in the background like software. You get in, you copy the file, you get out, you walk home, you make yourself tea, you go to bed. The next morning, you send the file to Langley. 3 days later, your handler calls, not on the regular line, and tells you the file contains something very important. She does not tell you what. You do not ask. That is not how this works. Rank 4, the senior field officer. You are good at this. Not just technically good. Everyone at this level is technically good. You are good at the parts of this job that cannot be taught. You can read a room in seconds. You know when someone is lying, and more importantly, you know why they are lying, which is usually more useful than the truth. You have an instinct for when something is about to go wrong, and you have saved your own life twice by listening to that instinct and walking away from something that looked fine but did not feel fine. At this level, you are running multiple sources at the same time. You might have 4 or 5 people reporting to you. Each of them believes they have a special private relationship with you. Each of them is partly right. You are managing small ecosystems of loyalty, fear, money, and ideology all at once. You also start to understand the weight of this. Because here is something they do not tell you in training. The people you recruit are real. They have families, they have fears. And the moment they start working for you, they are in danger. Not abstract danger, real danger. If they are ever caught, the best they can hope for is prison. The worst is something you do not want to think about. You do not take that lightly. The good officers never do. You protect your sources like they are your own family, Benay, because in a way they are. You are the only person in the world who knows their secret. That creates a bond that is hard to explain. But you also know that one day you might have to walk away from one of them, that the mission might change, that the orders from Langley might be to close the relationship and move on. And that person, who trusted you, who risked everything for you, will be left standing alone. That is the job, and you carry that. Rank 5, Black Ops Specialist. At this level, you are not gathering information, you are changing things. Governments, elections, supply chains, military decisions. You are in the room, or near the room, when the world takes a turn that nobody on the outside can explain. When a political leader suddenly reverses his position on something. When a weapons shipment that was definitely leaving port never arrives. When a man who was very powerful last month is now in exile. You did not do all of those things alone. You are part of a system, but you were the hand that moved one piece on the board, and that piece moved 3 others, and those 3 moved 9 more. Your operations now involve teams. You might be coordinating with paramilitary contractors, men and women who are even further off the books than you are. They do not wear uniforms. They do not have rank insignia. They are former Special Forces soldiers who now work for private companies that do not appear in any public registry. You are their link to Langley. You give them the target, they complete the objective, you report the outcome. You sleep less. Not because of nightmares, though there are those, but because your brain will not stop running scenarios. What if the asset has been turned? What if the local police chief is not on our side? What if the exit route is compromised? You eat alone a lot. You have had a few relationships over the years, and they all ended the same way. Not with a fight, but with a slow, quiet recognition that you could not be fully present, that there was always a part of you somewhere else. Sitting in a car outside a building in a city the other person had never heard of. Running through contingency plans at 3 in the morning while you smiled across a dinner table. Rank 6, the station chief. You are now the most important American intelligence officer in whatever country you are posted to. And the strange thing is, most of the Americans in that country have no idea you exist. Your official cover, if you have one at all, is buried so deep it barely matters anymore. The ambassador knows who you are. The president's national security team knows who you are. A small handful of people in the host government, people you have cultivated over years, know who you are, though they would never say so publicly. Everyone else sees a middle-aged person who seems vaguely connected to the embassy. As station chief, you run the entire CIA operation in-country. That means managing every field officer, every source, every ongoing operation. It means making judgment calls that could reshape U.S. foreign policy. When a new piece of intelligence comes in, something big, something urgent, you are the one who decides whether it is real, whether it matters, and whether it goes up the chain. You brief the ambassador, sometimes you brief Washington directly. You sit and secure video calls at strange hours and talk to people whose faces are blurred on the screen. The hardest part of this rank is not the danger. By now you have made peace with the danger. The hardest part is the responsibility. You have dozens of people whose safety depends on your decisions. Every choice you make has consequences that ripple outward in ways you cannot fully track. You once made a call to delay the extraction of a source by 48 hours because you thought the timing was wrong. You were right about the timing, but during those 48 hours, something else happened, something you could not have predicted, and the source was compromised. You got him out, he survived, but barely. You think about those 48 hours sometimes, late at night, when the city is quiet. Rank 7, the division chief. You are back in Virginia now. You have a desk at Langley, a real desk in a real building with a real badge. The irony of that almost makes you laugh. After all these years of not existing, you now officially exist in a building with a logo on it. But do not let the building fool you. The work here is just as secret as anything you did in the field, maybe more so. Because now you are not just running one operation in one country, you are overseeing an entire division, a region, a category of threat. You have dozens of officers reporting to you, scattered across multiple countries, running hundreds of sources, conducting operations that you designed from behind a desk. You are the architect now. You draw the blueprint. Someone else holds the hammer. This is harder than it sounds, because you know exactly what it feels like to be the one holding the hammer. You know the stress, the loneliness, the moments of genuine terror. And when one of your officers sends a report that tells you something has gone sideways, that a source has been burned, that an operation has hit a wall, you cannot help them directly. You can only manage the consequences from a distance. You become very good at writing cables, the kind of message that is brief and clear and tells someone in the field that you see them, that you have their back, that you are working the problem. It is a small thing, but it matters. Rank 8, the Deputy Director of Operations. There are maybe a handful of people on Earth who sit where you sit now. You oversee all of the CIA's clandestine operations, every covert action, every black budget program, every off-the-books initiative that the United States government is running anywhere on the planet. It all flows through your office. You are the last stop before the director, and on many things, you are the final word. You brief the president, not every day, but enough that you have stopped being nervous about it. The president asks questions, good questions, sometimes questions that reveal a fundamental misunderstanding of how intelligence works. Either way, you answer calmly, clearly, and with exactly as much detail as needed and not a word more. You have a secure phone that rings at any hour. You have learned to sleep lightly, not just from years of field training, though that helps, but because your brain has recalibrated itself to live in a permanent state of low-level readiness. At this level, you no longer carry out operations. You authorize them. That is a different kind of weight. When you sign off on something, when you look at a plan and say proceed, you are setting something in motion that cannot be undone. People will move. Lines will be crossed. The world will be a slightly different shape on the other side. You have learned not to be paralyzed by that. You have learned to make the call, live with it, and move forward, because the alternative, hesitation, second guessing, inaction, has its own body count, just a quieter one. Rank 9, the director of the CIA. Your name is on a door now, a very secure door, in a very secure building, with a very secure parking spot. You are the director. You were confirmed by the Senate. You testified in public, which was strange. After decades of not existing, suddenly existing in front of cameras and senators and a C-SPAN feed, you were careful in what you said. You have always been careful. As director, you are no longer running operations. You are running an institution, 17,000 employees, a multi-billion-dollar budget, the largest and most powerful intelligence apparatus in human history. And beneath all of that, somewhere in the deep structure of the organization, the black ops world that you came from, still running, still silent, still changing the shape of things. You meet with the president regularly. You sit at the table when decisions are made that history will write about. You know things that historians will not know for 50 years, if ever. You carry that quietly. You have always carried things quietly. Your old instructors from the farm are retired. Some of them are dead. The recruits who trained alongside you, the ones who made it, are now senior officers themselves, scattered around the world doing the work. Sometimes you think about them, the kid you shared a bunk with in Virginia who went on to run the whole Africa division. The woman who was recruited the same week you were, who became the best case officer of her generation, who survived 3 extractions that should have killed her and then retired to raise horses in Montana. You did good work, all of you, not perfect work, not clean work. This job does not allow for clean. But you served your country in ways that your country will never fully know, and that is fine. That was always the deal.